Good Wednesday morning, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith on the I Love CVille Network. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on a Wednesday when we're presented by Ross Mortgage and our friend Scott Mortgage Morris.
Good morning. Good morning.
Guys, I love Scott Morris. You can count on him. You can trust him. I have seen him move mountains for his customers and clients. Judah Wickhauer is our director, and let's welcome the panel to the program with the four-shot. Keith Smith, Scott Morris, we love. Yonna Smith, we really love. We really love.
I give the love. Thank you.
Every time she comes in here, we cherish her and we roll out the red carpet.
Thank you.
Good morning, guys. And Yonna, let's start with you. How are you?
Phenomenal. How about you?
We're doing fantastic.
It's a great Wednesday, and I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Which I did.
How was your Mother's Day? Tell us about it.
Phenomenal. I actually played cards with my husband.
You beat his tail.
I did, yes, I did.
When does that not happen?
I saw it on Facebook.
Not always.
When
No,
does that
he's
not
becoming
happen?
very competitive. So
Canasta?
Oh, yeah. He's becoming very competitive. So, but anyhow, we had a good time.
We play two ways, right? We usually play, if we don't have time, who wins the hand, right? Whoever wins it. So when I play for win hand, lose hand, I can win a series of games. When we play for points, Mrs. Smith kind of lets me win the first hand, and then, 2,500 points later.
Takes the temperature of the game. And then,
oh, totally.
I think that's called hustling.
I get hustled, and she knows I'm dyslexic,
I
I can't tell between 6 and 9s in my hand, so I constantly throw the 6 and 9s down. So I'm really at a bit of a disadvantage because there's two sets of cards that I can't put a canasta together.
So how do you respond to this with your distinguished
I think he's giving me way too much credit on that, and I can tell he's becoming very competitive. Coming from the days when we first started out to now, he's very competitive. So it's a lot of fun. Plus, we had a big audience, friends watching us, which was another.
Cunningham Creek Winery, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of people that like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Well, we just.
Your husband does a very good job of posting on social media every step of every day of everything that you guys are doing.
Yep.
So I feel like I know where you guys are at all times on social media,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Yonna loves that.
Oh, absolutely.
I was giving rules today on the way in. I'm just saying.
But no, we had a lot of
And
fun.
my right hearing aid may or may not have been on. I'm just saying at that point.
It was a lot of fun.
We'll get to Scott. How was the Mother's Day with your lovely bride? 3 kids in the fold.
Yeah, man. So Saturday, I actually took the kids out and we did some Mother's Day shopping.
Nice.
And, run around town, kind of gave her some time. And then Sunday, we did, breakfast for everybody, and then
Nice.
she took the kids to her mom's, and I took care of like an entire honey-do list of like stuff that I kicked around for the last year, like the garage and just whatever.
So let me get this straight. She took the children away, and you stayed home.
Yeah, and literally.
Isn't it supposed to be the other way around?
Well, he was grinding.
She got to spend time with the kids and go see her mom for Mother's Day, and I got to haul a ton of stuff and like open up the garage so it can be used more.
Actually, for a car.
Yeah. So,
does anybody actually do that? Do you actually use your? You probably do. You actually.
We use our garage
for cars.
for cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do we. So do we.
Well, one.
Yeah, but so
It's
do
a
we.
2-car garage.
It's okay.
Are we gonna do this in front of everybody?
So what you're saying, the truck is in the driveway?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't fit the truck.
There's no way he's going to fit the truck in the garage, period.
Well.
Does it got too many bikes?
Oh, so hey, how about that? Jerry, really? You're gonna do this?
I know you
Nice
quite
job,
well.
Jerry. Nice job, Jerry.
I know the dynamic well.
So look, today is a special day for Yonna and I. Today is our oldest daughter's 36th birthday, Yasmina Smith. So
Happy birthday, Yasmina.
Happy birthday, yes.
Happy birthday, Yazzie.
So 36 years ago, we were in Ottawa, Canada.
Yep.
Awfully close. What we figured around noon.
12:15 she was born.
12:15. Awfully close to having our first grandchild, our first child. 36 years ago. How does that feel, honey?
Phenomenal.
That was it, huh?
That's it. You know, I wish I could be with her, but I also know that she's busy and she has her life, and I don't think she's going to be celebrating until probably the weekend. She's on a shoot at the moment, so I think we briefly heard from her this morning.
I didn't hear from her at all. But that was about it,
yeah. So, no, we
So she's a makeup artist, so she's doing a midnight shoot.
In Connecticut, working in Manhattan, right?
Manhattan, yeah.
Actually, Jersey.
Jersey
Jersey's where the shoot's going to be.
So happy birthday, Yaz.
Happy birthday, Yaz. 36 years old. It's just hard to believe that 36 years flew by that fast, and we've got 2 grandkids. That's just...
There's a lot of nice milestones in the middle.
And we were also figuring out Scott Morris has known the Smiths for, was it 29 years?
1990 was our first.
Yeah.
Was it 90 or 93?
90.
90? Oh, yeah. So 32 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
You grew up.
And look,
you grew up
the
with
way
us.
back.
Yes.
And look, he's not he's not going like that.
Yeah, you know,
he's got a little bit of a
2
twitch.
cups of coffee in. So.
John Blair, welcome to the program. We love you, JB, watching in Stanton. You guys can drop in some comments and love and give the panel some praise or ask some questions. Why don't we start with Scott? And Judah, we'll mark this as our first sizzle reel. So Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage, where do you want to go? First take for today's show.
First take for today's show. So kind of seeing, in my opinion, kind of the first slowdown in activity, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, because depending on the where, I think we are seeing some change in inventory or less competitive at certain price points. I've had several conversations in the last week with multiple agents about how the $600,000 plus is getting a little less competitive, but the $400,000 down is still very competitive, and that in part is due to the number of people who are having to move from one price point to the other, and where we're at. And it's been ebbs and flows. So while people go out and may not be able to have success at one weekend, if you're still out there trying, I've had, weekends where we're getting 6, 7 contracts landed all at once, and then we go back into the struggle for a few weeks.
So Yonna and
I pretty much see the same. I can resonate with that. Yeah, we pretty much have seen the same sort of path. I would agree with that. It's also, with the exception of one, I would say, one particular home we had, insane. We had 32 people coming through, taking a look at the home, but that was also the price range. Yeah. But the multiple offers are coming in, I would say, a little less, and a little bit more intentional about what buyers really want to achieve and how far they want to go with certain contingencies. So that's the other thing that we've noticed. So escalation clauses are becoming more and more, I would say, detailed, and you can tell what the buyer says, not more than that, that's it. If I don't get it, I'll just move on. So it's not that you don't have that sense of frenzy. That frenzy is cooling off a little bit. I think that's what you're saying.
I got one with concessions accepted yesterday. So.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
wow.
That's the first time. Yeah.
First one in 2022?
Second one, I think.
Not too many, right? Yeah, no, I see the same thing.
Explain, for those who may not know, concessions, kind of walk us through that.
Seller paying closing costs.
Closing costs.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
That's big time.
That's big time, yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was reading an article by Yahoo Finance. The housing market is passing an inflection point this spring and may be on its way to a more balanced condition. So that's encouraging, right? And to Yonna's point, we put a home on the market, and I can't believe we're actually going to say this, but we only had 2 offers or 3 offers instead of 15 or 12. So it feels like, at least from the field end of it, that we're getting more to this balance, which is a good thing, at least from my perspective on that. So I think we're getting a little bit more balance in the market, which is really a good thing.
We got inflation data out today.
Yep.
Something that I wanted to pass along to Scott. Adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs, surged to a 14-year high. That news hits today. Inflation remains near a 40-year high. Gas prices at record high yesterday.
Yeah.
So a lot of data points out today, Scott.
So the ARMs did not get better today with so the inflation data depends on who reports it. Like I'm like brushing my teeth this morning, and the Wall Street Journal comes across inflation comes in lower than previous. And then another media outlet runs higher than expected. Well, both of them are true. It came in lower than it.
It went from 8.5 to 8.1.
Yeah, so it did come down, but no, to 8.3. It was projected to come in at 8.1,
right.
So it did come in higher than expected. So the bond market took the news as it's not slowing down and reacted negatively, which is going to be a bad thing for interest rates because we've seen for mortgage rates because we've seen a couple days of some improvement. Now, how long that lasts, we're going to be. Things are super volatile right now, so. ARMs are not attractive if the bond market is reacting in the way that it did today, or they're less attractive anyways. And ultimately, another conversation I've had over and over again, here's the deal. If you're in a position to purchase, go out, make that decision, especially if you're a first-time buyer getting out of renting into purchasing, build that equity, put your foot in the ground, draw a line in the sand, get started, and then know that you're going to refinance that loan in the next 24 months. And if you're somebody who's selling and moving into something else and you're having like this emotional, like I just refinanced 2 years ago and I'm at this place. Well, if you want to step up into the next property, go do it and know that inside of 2 years, you're going to refinance that loan. You're not going. The big question isn't just how long are you going to be in this home. It's how long are you going to be in this mortgage. And you may reach in for cash in the future. You may reach in because you're going to be in a better position. The market will be in a better position to put you at a lower rate. You're going to have opportunities, and you shouldn't base everything around the what ifs. You need to make it around is this situation that I'm putting myself in the right thing for my future and my family's future? And if the answer to that is yes, then don't be bound by things you cannot control in making those decisions.
Great take. Yonna, your thoughts?
I would definitely agree with that. And we've had this conversation with a lot of disheartened and sort of upset first-time homebuyers that they're saying, I'm just going to wait until it cools off. And, I'm trying to really, really encourage them. I said, let's keep on going because it's not going to get any cheaper. And rather than having to wait and even pay more 6, 7, 8, 9 months down the road, because the interest rates may go up higher than they currently are, we don't know. Just take advantage of the fact, position yourself as strongly as you can, and maybe instead of focusing on the next 6 months, focus on the next 2 years. What do you want to try to accomplish within the next 2 years rather than the short-term goal? So either way, it's going to cost you money. If you wait, it's going to cost you money. I would rather go ahead and agree with what Scott says, is continue on and pay what's currently in the market and be prepared for that home ownership where you can build equity. Somebody just told me they rented an apartment for $2,500. My God, $2,500 times 12 is roughly
30 G's.
30. Yeah. That's a down payment. So it's not
an apartment.
Apartment.
Was it an apartment or a home?
No, it's an apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's like crazy.
So we say this all the time. Renting is 100% mortgage rate.
Interest.
Right? Or interest rate. Thank you. 100% interest. Thank you, Scott, for keeping me straight on that. So I want to go backwards a little bit. So are you advocating in certain circumstances a 3-arm or a 5?
Oh, he has been for a couple weeks.
Again, I think it's depending upon who you are and what situation you're in. If you're a first-time buyer who is, we know that we qualified you at the top of what you could comfortably pay? Am I going to suggest an ARM to the person who potentially gets put in a bad position down the road, especially if maybe they can't credit qualify to refinance later? No, that's a bad decision. Are you someone who is a resident at the university and your income is looking to increase, and you may not even be in the area for more than 5 to 7 years, but you want to consider getting into something now that you can refinance later, either and retain as an investment property, or what? It depends on your situation. Are you selling a house and you say, hey, I want the lowest thing I can get right now, and I know I'm going to refinance it or I'm going to sell it in the next 5 years? ARM. Yes, those are situations where
But most people are staying in their homes for 10 years now, right?
Well, it depends also.
They may be staying in the home for 10 years. That doesn't mean they're going to stay in the mortgage that long.
Roger, understood.
And he also highlighted the examples, the medical student, the resident.
The residents, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't stay 10.
Are you at DIA, NJIC? Are you somebody who's coming in as a contractor to a six-figure income position, and but may likely not be in the area that long? Those are people in this area that I 100% am going to say, hey, look at all of these options for. But again, these are people who the income may not be the biggest concern, but certainly somebody who's a couple out here making $60,000 to $80,000 a piece, who is shopping at the top of their price point to get into something. Are we going to suggest putting them into an adjustable rate mortgage that they might have to, that could be putting them in the position to fail 3 to 5 years from now? No.
So I was a follow-up question to that. So, Yonna and I were helping first-time home buyers. What can you do to help us win the day, right? So it sounds like potentially 3s and 5/1 ARMs can help us win the day, because those interest rates are what now, average, roughly?
Upper 3s.
Yeah, so they're somewhere between the 3 to 4 range where they were, right, which we all agreed is not the norm on that end of it. So this at least potentially can help Yonna and I help folks win the day. So tell me a little bit how those are structured from your side of it. I have a client, first-time home buyer. This is what they want to use. Talk me through, how that process works.
The process, so the qualifying process is no different. But the rate is going to adjust in 3 years as much as 1%, and then it can adjust again the following year another 1%, and depending on what exactly the terms are of the ARM specifically.
But there's caps in it, right?
You
have caps in it.
Correct.
And isn't there also the opportunity when you have the ARM product that
to adjust down?
To adjust down,
Absolutely.
to adjust down. So there's...
It can adjust down at the same percentage that it can adjust up.
Got it.
Valerie, who's watched this program, Easter, talked about how hers is adjusted down for a property that she owns. Now, can you put in perspective, because it's coming in on the feed, how the rate may change based on the term of the ARM? 3, 5, 10. Does the rate differ based on when the ARM, what's the word? When the ARM...
So for a 7 or a 10,
matures.
is the rate higher?
Matures?
I don't think it's the maturing is the right.
So it depends on the... So
there's a different
depending on the setup. So if we could look at a bunch of different options here. I'll tell you what. Let's set it maybe next week when we can go through, and we'll set up like all the different variables that could go into that.
Well, this is an important conversation to have because it's back, right? ARMs are back, right? Interest rates are 5 to 6% roughly, whatever they are for 30-year mortgages. God only knows what a 40-year is. I don't even want to talk about it. But we probably ought to do a quick analysis on that. On if I'm buying a $350,000 home, what is my monthly payment on it? So we'll have that ready for next Wednesday. Change gears a little
Please.
bit on this end of it, Yonna. I've been meaning to ask you this question. So,
wonderful.
So, yeah.
What's coming?
No pre-production conversations.
What's coming?
So look, one of the things I want to start talking about is, how as as agents, how can we help our buyers win a deal, right? And there's a couple of little things that we do as agents can do it, and one of them is contacting the listing agent. So yes. walk us through that. What's the benefit of you representing a buyer, I'm representing a seller, and you want to pick up and call me as a seller's agent? What's the benefit to that?
Well, primarily, I think is really to establish that relationship, that you really have a complete picture of what the seller is really looking for, and how can we position our buyer's offer in such a way that it has the highest chance of being considered, hopefully won. And one of the things that I always encourage anybody to do is, as much work as we put in as buyer's agent, the selling agent is doing about as equal amount as work. And I'm hoping that by asking the right questions, so tell me what is really the most important thing for your seller client. How can we possibly go ahead and help bring these two parties together? Be non-confrontational, preferably. Just reaching out and building sort of that rapport that you can find out, okay, that seller is really interested in possibly staying another month in the home because of the fact that they either have not found a new home or they're looking to move and they were not able to set up their moving companies yet. So there's a lot of various little details. So it's similar to peeling an onion, to be honest with you. So really trying to get to the bottom of it in a way that as much as possible, as much as the agent is really in a position they can share and allowed to share, because certain things she's not or he's not, but really try to really draw that picture also for your buyer client to say, look, very motivated seller, they're very anxious to get out of the home, they have done a lot of improvements, these are the improvements they've made, obviously they realize there's a certain amount of rate of return that they can expect, but they want to go ahead and obviously make that transition as quickly as possible. Here's a timeline that they have in mind. Some instances we also want to find out, and some of us are not in a position we really can tell, and I've been asked this question many a times when we have homes on the market. Tell me when the deadline is to receive offers. Now this is a double-edged sword, because when you tell somebody a deadline, then typically everybody waits until 5 minutes before that deadline is up to really present offers, right? At the same time, it gives them also opportunity to look at other pieces of properties. However, you really want to try to go ahead and get as much information from the other side so you can go ahead and incorporate this in your best offer forth.
So it's about relationships. It's about establishing relationships, and something that we should get out so everybody understands this. Even if the MLS says or the agent says deadline is Monday at 5 p.m., that doesn't mean an offer can be accepted before then, right? So that's an important piece of information to get out there, because you can get an offer that comes in and the seller's in control and they can accept it, because we've had conversations like this before with other side agents saying, well, hold it, you said it was such and such. I said, well, the seller decided to accept this other offer. So to your point, waiting is not necessarily a good thing.
So the other important part is just to tie in with Scott. And actually, Scott was one of the first ones to actually reach back out to one of us if we were able to work together to say, so what can I do to make that seller comfortable with the terms that the purchaser is providing to? What can I do to go ahead and make that a successful communication? And you were the first one to say. Says I'd be happy to call the listing agent on the other side,
and that makes a difference.
Explain what I can explain within my limitations, and see how I can make that really a win-win situation for everybody. So Scott and anybody in the lending mortgage business is as equally important of a piece in order to make this successful as we are. So it's really a teamwork effort.
Scott, jump in here.
Yeah, I mean that's something. It's something that you shouldn't. Well. It's not something that should have just started. If you want to be really advocating for your client, the first thing that happens on our end is hey, please let me know once you've sent the offer so I can follow up and let the listing agent know. Talk about strength of buyer. Let me find out if there's any hesitancy towards the product, and that way we can address that as well. The number one goal is to to show that not only are we a team, but we're communicating at a super high level, so that whoever is receiving that information on the other side is, if you're up against two light things or something that's maybe has different but not better options in their offer, that ours looks the strongest, and ours being whoever the client is.
Mark Weihelm, or Mary Weihelm, giving Yonna some props right now.
That's a cousin.
Kevin Yancey said Keith definitely outkicked his coverage and married up with this one.
Thank you.
Giving Yonna some props right now. I've noticed that is a common theme on the comment section right now. So we want to give Yonna some props and also zing Keith a little bit.
I'm right here. I'm right here.
He's right here.
Nicholas Erpy watching the show. We love you, Nick. I believe he is getting married on Saturday.
Ooh. Congratulations.
Nicholas Erpy. So Nick, we love you, homie. This question has come in for the panel. Are you guys seeing a softening of $1 million plus? And please offer perspective on new construction and how that's doing with cost of goods going through the roof. Great talking points there. Yonna, you want to start there?
I can tell you on the new construction side, at least in Fluvanna County, I have seen some adjustments recently, which was startling, to say the least.
Adjustments how?
Down. It wasn't that big of a jump, but it was enough to kind of jostle the MLS
it
got our attention. So,
but I think to talk about that for a second, Yonna and Scott and Jerry and everybody, that's a very specific. It was a very specific project. It was the last couple of units in it. My little birdies were telling me they're just looking to shut down the shop, to move.
Yeah, they want to close it out
and finish it up. So I think that's what that's about. That's not an indication of the overall market, because we're seeing construction going up in every other location other than this one specific project. So I just don't want folks to walk away from it thinking new construction is going down. It's quite the opposite.
I would say the only times that I've seen entire projects move full price points is if all of their like models were built similarly somewhere else very close, and that they thought they might have a difficult time getting the first one to appraise, because what will happen is the appraiser will come out and say, well, all of these were built at sold at 320 or 380 6 months ago, and these are listed at 420.
Well, they've moved staff out of the county, so it's a whole much big. That was good English. Whole much bigger, whatever that means. A whole much bigger.
But that was a surprise, to be honest with you. But really, other than that, the $1 million upmarket, I still see it pretty busy, to be honest with you.
Do you, Keith?
Look, I think the overall, like we were saying before, I think every market every price point has pressure on it. Lower much more than the upper. But, the one that we had only a few offers on was more in the upper range, but we had a few offers, right? Back in the day, it was like, hey, Scott showed the house. So, hey, bring me an offer. Hey, how's it going? Now we only had a couple of offers on it. So
we did one 2 or 3 years ago where it sat long enough. First, it was going to be this off-market thing, and then it came on, and then it sat long enough for the two borrowers to talk to the borrower and the seller to do their own little side negotiation. And then this is for weeks. This went on versus now.
Before a contract actually happened.
Before a contract actually. And to where the listing agent's like, hey, you guys still got something going on here, versus now it's like, you're still coming on market and getting multiple offers.
So I'm going to try a big...
But they're very intentional. These offers are really, this is not like shooting in the dark, darts. This is really these offers that we have gotten over the past, 2 or 3 weeks, I can tell you that people know what the market is. The buyer understands completely what he has to do in order to get in the game, stay in the game, but he's not overpaying.
Because I'll wait. Yeah. So I'm going to use a big word. I'm going to see if I can get it right. It's not the phoretic, did I say that word? Phoretic pace? Is that a good word?
Forensic?
No,
frenetic.
Frenetic.
See, I told you I screwed up. I was trying to be smart.
That's a new word. I have not heard it.
I was trying to impress my wife. I didn't do so good on that one.
No, I never heard that
different
word.
way.
Chaotic.
Chaotic.
It is not such a frenzied pace. That was a better.
That works.
That was a better.
Very nicely done,
That was a better F word.
It's a little tempered. How about that? A little tempered.
So I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around this arm stuff. I know that we're not going to do numbers, right, on that end of it. But we had Woody in Yonna's seat, Woody Fincham for Fincham Associates, one of our great sponsors, in that seat a week ago. So I had somebody ask me this question the other day. So tell me why we're not going to have the same problem as we had in 2006, 2007, and 2008 with these arms. Why are we not going to have?
We get that question on these shows every day.
So there's not enough.
Every day.
So there's not enough of the product out there, and hopefully whoever is helping people get into these homes is separating the difference and saying, we're not qualifying someone who, I will say, who could.
The regulatory is different. That's the point.
Here's who could get the regulatory. Yes, is different. Here's who could potentially get in trouble. Self-employed people, if we face a recession, depending on what their type of business is, if they get into an arm that adjusts up and they are having problems in their business. Now, that's not to say that they couldn't get into trouble in a regular 30-year fixed product. But if you take the two risk factors combined to where things slow down and their mortgage rate goes up, that's
what happened.
That's where some risk or more risk lies.
But isn't the situation from 2007 and 2008 still? I think this is so different. Vastly different than it is now. I mean, there's
equity in homes.
Oh my God!
The balance sheets are good. Household balance sheets are good.
People have cash.
Yeah, exactly.
People have cash.
Well, that's what the market is right now.
It's not like they don't have, even coming out of the forbearance period. I mean, some folks smart enough, when they were in forbearance, what they did is instead of spending the money that they saved and not paid, they saved it.
Well,
so
COVID kind of helped out a little because there was nothing to do to go spend the money and
I get it, but I think that also takes some financial responsibility to say, okay, wait a minute, I'm not going to go ahead and spend all of it and say, wow, and then not be able to meet my obligations. And I think that's the big difference. I think that the way the risk is vetted these days is far tighter than it was in 2005, 2006. Is it going to happen that we're going to have some foreclosures?
Yeah, but they're going
undoubtedly, but I think it's going to be so limited because the risk is so vetted in such a way that
here's the other thing that's being left out from that conversation. We're also 15 million houses short in inventory compared to what we were at the time. We've got we've got a bigger population of people. So we've got more humans, less rooftops. So even if there is a significant number of homes that come onto the market, unless we get this lemming effect of people who are walking away from mortgages when they shouldn't to begin with, and what I mean by that is, let's say that there is a pocket of foreclosures that come on. We've got so many qualified buyers out there who need to get out of rental situations and into homes. They're going to absorb that, and it would take literally people going, well, I don't want to be in a house that might be upside down either, but I just don't think we're in that position because we're continued. All the forecasts are not for a lower value future. It's just not going to increase as much over time, and it can't. We can't see year over year 15% asset value increase when it should be 3 to 6.
It will be 3 to 6.
It needs to normalize again.
And you'll probably see, if we crystal ball it and bet something here, I think you're going to see about a 10% increase this year, but then you go 3 to 6. I get asked this question multiple times a day from everybody from the line and Bodos to the show. Where's the bubble? and I'm probably going to say something that's a little bit unpopular at the moment. The bubble is in the rental market. That is where I think.
You buy this?
I think.
Go ahead. Finish this.
I think the home purchasing end of it, I think everybody's got a beat on it as far as regulatory goes and stuff like that. I had a conversation with somebody on the other side of the mountain yesterday that, rents are going up 20%, 15%, 17%, and they're going up like this.
Year over year.
They're going up like this.
Yeah, when the lease expires and renews, oftentimes the landlord, and we see this all the time on the show, is utilizing, and maybe it's not even above board tactics, saying your lease is up, we're going to raise your rent. And it's not going to be the 4 to 5% that's in the lease.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, take it or leave it. And if you don't like this,
tough negotiation.
Tough.
So
I mean, that's happening.
So I think that's where whatever bubble is out there. And
but how would that bubble pop?
So it's not necessarily from the buyers. That's Liza.
Liza turned.
Liza clearly thinks this train of thought is legal.
Liza's the I Love CVille mascot. And for those that can't hear her, she said, what?
What?
Your dog.
That was just way too much. That is way too much
Is he thinking again?
Oh, my Lord.
How does the rental market pop?
So I've had this conversation 3 times since Monday with people in the rental space, and they're worried about when the market balances, which it will balance. The sales side of things balance, which it will. Rents will start decreasing. So this is more from a buying of investment property perspective end of it. And I was happy to hear that, because what that means is that's going to help the inventory.
Sure.
What they're going to do is they're going to put it back into inventory. And the reason it came up was a couple of clients that were looking to buy single-family detached units way outside where this rubber band we've been talking about forever. And they decided not to do that because they felt once the thing balances, that value out there, rental-wise, is going to decrease. But it's not necessarily about value. It's about how, you're staying in, the best way to hedge against inflation is to get a 5-year ARM, 3-year ARM, 7-year ARM, 30-year fixed.
Buy a home.
Buy a home.
That's
right
really
now,
the best
these interest rates are these rental rates are just going up, and they're really not that it should be checked, but it's unchecked. There's nothing to, on the buy side, there's ways to manage the arms. That's how I'm trying to connect this together. There's a way to regulate the arms so we don't have a repeat of 2008. It feels like the rental market was like 2006 and 2007. And I don't know what that means other than it just feels that way.
So the problem, and I don't know, I can't say that I feel like I'm too libertarian in thought to think you can't go out and regulate what someone can ask for rent on the property.
Well, you can. It's called rent control, but God forbid if that ever happens.
Well, that's what's happening in New York, right?
That's
I
grew up around that.
But with that, what traps people from being able to purchase is that they can't save because they're pouring all this money into rent.
Correct.
So if there is a tool that exists, it's coming up with different paths to 100% financing and incentives. If the government wants to incentivize anything, they need to incentivize sellers at this point in order to get more inventory into the market. And that's the path. It's not what were we talking about 2 years ago? They were going to give another tax credit to buyers.
15,000.
Yeah, whatever it is. And now it's at this point, it's like, please no.
Well, they won't do that because they're trying to control the pace of the market.
Well, I mean, they don't have problems spending. Anyways, that's another.
So let me try a different way to do this, because I think these individuals, and these are really smart people I was talking to, were more speaking probably more nationally than locally. So some of these cities where all these Blackstone are buying these thousands and thousands and thousands of single-family detached units. I think the thinking on it was as well, if all of a sudden the rental market changes, they may all get dumped back on the market on the resale end of it.
Those properties don't get dumped back on the market until it comes time. No. Those properties come back on the market when they have outlived their
ROI.
Yeah, so when it comes time to do improvements, roof, siding, when the big expenses come, that's when those properties get unloaded because they just collect, sell.
So I don't disagree with you. I disagreed with the people I was talking about. They were preaching that if all these rentals get dumped on the market simultaneously, it could impact the sales side.
Sure, but I think that's regional. I think that's like Sun Belt. That's a Sun Belt, LA, New York problem.
It was an interesting conversation. I thought I'd throw it out there.
I agree.
Just to piggyback on what Scott said, I do believe that the trend definitely is at the moment for any investor of any rental property to get right now is the time to get the highest rate of return out of it until you get to the point where you have to do some major investment, major improvements in it, and then you put it back on the market.
We're not seeing we don't see a lot of investor buyers in the project in the transactions we do. I mean, not a huge number, a couple of few, but we don't see.
You do see it.
Transactions we managed, we haven't really seen that much of it. It's mostly people trying to buy for a place to move in and live. I think cash is impacting the market big time right now.
So
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Deferred houses. I had a conversation this morning with someone about, hey, this guy, he's got this house. He's embarrassed by the state of it. He doesn't know how he's going to sell it. I was like, now is the best time in his lifetime to unload a deferred maintenance house, and solve his cash problems, and then we'll take a bulk of the money and we'll put it down on something else and get him into one level living and come up with a solution. Like, that's the path going forward. Like, you don't have to go out and fix everything, because right now there's an investor or someone who wants to get into that single family who hopes it's a deal. And as long as it's not so terrible that it's going to get through an appraisal, like now's the time. Let's figure out a way forward.
I want to caveat that with saying depends on the location.
Chemistry is working here.
Depends on the location.
I was just going to ask you,
because you do still need to make sure that there's certain at least what we have seen. There's certain things. I get it. Deferred maintenance up to a certain point, but there's certain things that we feel and we have seen are largely location dependent. So you may be able to get away with that, let's say on the Greene County, Albemarle County line, but you may not be able to get away with that down in Nelson County or down in wherever. Even in Fluvanna County, there's certain properties where they just threw a number at it, put it on the market, and let's see what happens.
I guess that's my point. You can't expect a premium, but it's not like it's just going to sit. If you're willing to, if it's for sale and not for listing, you're going to be able to get rid of it. So, unlike sometimes, a couple years ago, if it needed enough work, people just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
certain areas.
Yeah.
Certain areas.
I think where we're going with this, pricing it right is always matter, but even particularly now, right, Yonna?
It is still important.
And why is that?
Just because of the fact that the buyers are extremely informed and educated in the not only on the pricing side of it, but also on strategy side of it. I mean, if they're represented by, and I'm hoping they all are, by a true professional, they know what they have to do in order to win that.
Well, the reality of it is they're watching.
And it needs to be priced correctly.
Are you still seeing sellers expecting top dollar for houses that have had deferred maintenance?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes, I do, but
that's starting to change a little bit.
Then I think it's our job as to make the education. I mean, there's certain deferred maintenances you can get away with, but
roof, HVAC, that's tough to get away with.
It is. Yeah. The thing is some of the interior features, we are able to get away with it a little bit more. I think you can see somebody saying, okay, well, I'm willing to change out the carpet and put hardwood floors in it, so that's
Still some shag carpet in the bathroom and.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
this is where I knew.
knock it off.
Judah knew.
Knock it off.
Yeah.
Knock it off. Seafoam green is in.
So I like to dig my toes into it when I get out of the shower.
And pink
green
toilets. That was hilarious.
I love Smith so much.
But there's still, like I said, there's certain features you can kind of navigate through, but there's certain deferred maintenance items. You just have to be prepared.
So we're saying shag carpet is deferred maintenance. Is that what we're saying?
Scott's got something from Daniel McDougall. He's a branch manager and a VP at a mortgage company in town, and he says that typically, shorter the term in the ARM, will carry a lower rate, 3-in-1 better price than the 10-in-1.
Correct.
That is correct. But you still. Yeah, but there's still some initial costs involved in it.
And that's the comment that was coming in on the feed, where I guess what's happening is folks are pricing ARMs.
Yeah.
And they're seeing that the 10-year has a higher rate than the 3, but the 3 carries more risk because it's a shorter term.
Look, it's a tool, right? I was having these conversations with a couple of agents over the last week. You know, our job, Yonna's job, my job, Scott's job, everybody at this table's job is constantly changing.
Oh yeah,
it's constantly changing, and
you need to be informed, right? That's what we do every day.
Yeah.
You need to be informed. You need to know. You need to know what are the trigger points. What are the adjustments that you need to make when communicating with the general public, for that matter, because it's not just the buyer, it's also the seller, it's also the lender, it's also the appraiser, it's the home inspector. I mean, there's a whole litany of people that I think you need to be informed about and informed with.
I think, Yonna, we should go back to building houses with shag carpet.
Oh, my Lord, no. I know.
Danny O'Day for the panel. Curious to hear the panel's thoughts. Currently, we offer tax deductibles for mortgages, but not for rent payments. This only helps further the divide between homeowners and renters and makes it even more difficult for renters to accumulate the capital needed to purchase their own home. Do we think changing this discrepancy would help equalize the market and offer more buying power back to the renter?
Oof,
so how do you do that? How
would you do that?
Give it? You're talking about an income tax incentive or break or write-off for rentals. I just don't see how you can tie that. Actually, do that. I think
Danny and his better half. Danny, correct me if I'm wrong. If memory serves correct, you and your better half are looking to purchase a house. Both strong jobs. Both in their upper 20s, and want to stay in Charlottesville, and as of now, priced very much out of the market.
I have buyers that I'm multiple ones trying to buy in Charlottesville, and you know, unless it's got anything with a 4 in it needs a lot of help. Anything with a 5 in it is you're looking 6 or an 8 in front of it just to get into Charlottesville proper. On that end, single family detached.
Right, and let's cut to the chase. The 6, even the 6, which at one time used to be a special property, is going to need some work.
It's going to need some help. Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I've been looking at homes that price point that needs new windows, right? That are 1940s, 1950 windows.
And windows ain't cheap.
Yeah.
And they've got a long lead time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, you may be able to get replacements, but you're going to have to
We've
be
looked
patient
at that
to wait.
at our house. It's
Need to
a
wait.
long lead time.
Yeah, I've
6
got
months?
a
3 to 6
friend that
months.
does a lot of
That's what we got, 6 months.
high-end remodels, and his number one problem, he goes, all right, so I can redo your kitchen, but if we're going to do that window, I can't start until December. Like, you know.
But that's all the way across the board. We just did a transaction in the country, and we need to do a septic inspection on it, and it's 4 to 6 weeks. That's past when we might be closing, right, on that end.
Well, that goes
So
back to the labor shortage that we have, right? Or the challenge that we have.
So Schatzi, so Yonna, so those who know, Schatzi is German for sweetheart. So where are we taking the first-time home buyer? Where in our footprint are we doing where are they going to buy right now?
We call them our hardened warriors, and we're going to go ahead and put our
I love Yonna so much.
hardened warriors.
I love you.
So for those,
this is set up the expectations right from the beginning, and if I look for one home today, I'm going to look for 3 homes tomorrow. Just continuously look, and then we need to talk to Scott, obviously, to make sure that the interest rates haven't gone up by the time we placed our 5th offer. However, just stay in the game. I cannot tell you where. I think what I'm trying to go ahead and encourage anybody to do is don't just focus on a small area. Just expand it. Be open-minded. Okay, if it takes you maybe another 10 minutes to drive there, or maybe you want to take your bike and drive to wherever you need to drive to. And sometimes you need to be prepared. If Charlottesville is not the area at this particular moment, then you may have to go across the mountain. You may have to go to Stanley. You may have to go to Waynesboro. What does this picture look like for you?
And they're beautiful communities.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is it's just...
Even the rents on the other side of the mountain, as a viewer texted me or messaged me yesterday, are going through the freaking roof.
So you need... I think our job is, to be consistently looking, motivating, strategizing, come up with options, kind of expand that circle as much as you possibly can, make them comfortable with a path that they may not have thought of. Just really think outside the box and just stay in the game. I mean, I would not... We have one particular client who just said, I'm going to wait until it gets better. And I'm like,
it's not going to get better.
Not a good idea.
It's not going to get better. A lot of comments coming in here. Paul McCarter, we'll get to your comment here. Danny O'Day for the panel. And Danny, you and your better half, you're looking for a team to get you that first house. Keith and Yonna, and financing with Ross and Scott. They work wonderfully together. He says, we're looking to purchase in the community. Mm-hmm. The market is absolutely pricing us out right now. We both have strong jobs. He's an account manager for Politico, and she's a teacher. We love the home we live in, but the truth is the rent cuts huge into our monthly incomes and makes building long-term savings difficult. We empathize.
Almost impossible. Yeah. We said, like we said, 100% of the rent is going to pay somebody else's mortgage, to build somebody else's equity, and I will share that, and we've kind of decided to stay away from the word inventory on the show, right?
Oh, we've done a good job until
right now. Up to this very moment. Yeah. Nice job, Smith. But the balance.
Because that was the word from the executive producer.
That was the word from the executive pivoting and inventory.
Yeah.
2 words.
You told me executive producer.
Yeah.
But I think there's another piece to that, and I think one of the things that I would highly recommend anybody doing is talk to Scott or somebody in the lending business that can not only give you a short-term kind of picture of what a particular mortgage rate would look like, but also try to figure out, so how can I get you there if we really have to wait? So what do we need to do? What do we need to do to get you into a home in 6 to 9 months?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times it's not about rate.
Nope.
It's about, let's talk about payment.
Yep.
Let's talk about how long you're going to be in the home, how long you could be in the mortgage. That's the conversation. Or not just that, let's say, let's even get away from payment to a certain aspect. If you're selling a house and we can put X amount of money on the sideline so that you have it as reserves until we know, why are we going to go pay a bunch of points to lower a mortgage rate that you're likely to refinance in 24 months? If somebody's telling you to do that, that's probably not good advice. Like if they're saying, hey, look, let's pay 3 points, so that's at on a $500,000 purchase, that's potentially $15,000. Just take the higher rate, keep money in reserves, and know that you're most likely going to refinance in the next 2 years, because you're never going to get back the money that you're spending to buy down into that to get that.
So let's talk Charlottesville. Let's talk prices, right? So let's assume, for the argument's sake, 2022. That's the year we're in, right? Yes. 2022. Just needed to check. We're pretty much the double-digit increase in prices is pretty much going to stabilize. So the point is, next year, Charlottesville usually averages between 5 to 6% year over year. It's been doing that for 21 years, as long as I've been keeping track of it. So what's going to happen?
Still pretty darn good.
That's the average. That's the national average.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
The national average is 5%.
These prices, are just going to, they're not going to jump, but they're going to continue to climb.
You take 5% out of a 400K house, and we just explained a 400K house is going to be very difficult to find. It's 20K. Yeah. It's 20 G's. Yeah. That's a lot.
So, you know, if I was in the game, I would start talking to Scott about this 3 to 5%, 3 to 5 year arms. You know, get it somewhere between 3 and 4% if you can do it. Get your monthly payment. Every buyer that I deal with, and I tend to deal with a lot of buyers, it's always how much is my monthly payment? How can I get there? How much is my monthly payment going to be? On that end of it, but you know, there's a recent home that we sold 2 years ago. We just resold. Now, there's been a lot of appreciation in 2 years, but they walked out with a ton of cash. They got into a home just to get into a home, right? To start building their equity up, and they're taking that equity and they're moving and they're moving up. So to Yonna's point, you know, rent. You know, try to get in, however you can get into the game. Get into the game.
I think there's a strategy for everything, and especially if
it's very individualized, right?
It is. It is. So. I think it depends on
each transaction is unique.
Totally.
Like everyone. You know, I like to say that you're not all snowflakes, but I think everyone actually is as far as a real estate transaction goes.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
We've been doing this for 3.5 decades. I can tell you that not one transaction was exactly the same. They were always a little bit different and had different needs, and that's the reason why, you know, this how do you win the buyer, right? We're competing against this calling the other side is so important, you know, because you've got to try to understand where the seller's position is and see how you can best craft your offer to meet that. And it may not be money, it may be something else. We just recently won a deal where we beat out cash, and I don't think we were the highest offer. We don't know that for sure because nobody told us that, but I know we beat out cash.
So there's a saying that actually, I paraphrase Quentin Beckham. He wrote it. He wrote it on our board in the office. It's goodwill earns and wins your deals.
That's exactly right.
And that's exactly what it is. That comes back to the building the relationship.
So a little something that people don't know about Mrs. Smith, and they may have just experienced this a little bit, but Yonna was on a fast track in the Austrian diplomatic services. And then 37 years ago, some guy in a really good-looking Marine Corps uniform convinced her to leave all that.
His name was Brian.
His name. That's my middle name. You didn't know my middle name was Brian.
I didn't know that. All right, his name is Keith Smith.
No, his name may have been Brian on that end of it, but. You know, we're coming up on our...
I've heard this story so many times.
Well, I don't think I've ever said that she was on a fast track for the...
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Damn it.
It's the brownie points.
I know what he's doing.
I may or may not be in hot water at the moment.
The brownie points.
Paul MacArthur has this. Anytime... So this is about the creating some rental tax advantages.
Yeah, sure.
He says anytime, and Paul's very much a libertarian.
Yeah.
I would characterize you as a libertarian, right, Paul? Also party of common sense. Scott, I feel like you fit that. I try to fit that as well.
Well, common sense is always good no matter what.
Yeah, people always say, what party do you most align with? I'm like, common sense.
There you go.
Just do things common sense. Anytime the government helps to make buying easier, it results in an artificial inflation of housing prices since it creates more demand and cheap money to spend.
Yeah. Sure, look at student loan debt.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yes, if anybody who lived in New York City under rent control would know it sucks. It doesn't work. So on that end of it.
Yeah, he says libertarian leading moderate, centrist. I think that's all of us.
I had somebody ask me the other day what political party I was. I said I was an American. Yeah. And they didn't quite understand that.
Yancey in Waynesboro, Kevin Yancey, we've dubbed him the king of Waynesboro. He says the first-time home buyer markets are Esmont, Scottsville, South and North Garden, maybe some Browns Cove. As options. We'll throw a little Buckingham in there.
And also southern part of Louisa. But not in the Glen Ellen area, not close to Richmond yet.
Right.
Yeah, Louisa can
It's
huge, so it really depends on.
Louisa is huge.
That's the reason why Louisa is not part of the area medium income that HUD puts together, which, by the way, raised. I don't know if everybody knows that. Did everybody know what that came out to? $111,000 for our area.
Oh yeah, I just saw Mayor Lloyd Snook just posted that on Facebook. Literally moments ago that you brought that up.
Yeah,
111,000.
100 of the area medium income. Now, let's be specific about
this is what he posted. Then I'll throw it back to you. Mayor of Charlottesville, 33 minutes ago. Wild Bill McKenzie sent this to me in a DM as well. New area median income data for Charlottesville with 11.1% inflation factor applied to last year's data. The AMI is $111,200 for Charlottesville.
It's up. So
think about that, Scott.
Depending.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
So what that does is that sets income limits for the HUD products. That's what that number really is about. So, and it's the reason I bring it up because we're talking about Louisa. Louisa has a whole separate number because it's in a different and what they call MPO. But that's Charlottesville, Albemarle, Fulvana, Nelson, and Greene. So Fulvana County, in essence, is $111,200 in area medium income.
Orange does not pick that up, so Orange is still in the lower brackets as far as surrounding counties go.
Yeah, because you don't get the bleed over from DC quite yet, right?
Not quite yet, and not the bleed up from Charlottesville.
Culpeper picks that up, and then you've got this gap between Orange and Spotsylvania where it's kind of the odd man out when it comes to income limits.
So certain, and it's income limits is important for loan products and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the actual area median income for the county, but from a guy who chairs a land trust, an affordable housing land trust, that's actually a good thing because it increases income for folks that qualify. So that's actually a good thing.
Bill says my income is nowhere near that. Yeah. Bill, I believe you and your better half are retired, right, sir? The concerning aspect of this, that statistic, excuse me, is the gentrification associated with it, especially families and households on fixed incomes. As the community becomes, and it clearly is, becoming more expensive to live, fixed income is really stressed.
I think it's becoming more expensive for anybody.
Yeah.
Well, fixing income is even worse because
obviously it puts a lot more additional pressure.
I was having the conversation yesterday over some squash with the developer, and he said the fact that the city, and we're not getting into politics, but the fact that the city is raising tax rates is going to push a lot of folks out as well.
So Yonna and I were having this conversation. We got our personal property tax bill, right? And
wasn't it interesting last week or earlier this week? It was all over the news. And I was thinking,
I wonder why.
We've been talking about this for Real Talk Scott brought this up on personal property, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
For a long time.
They assessed our cars more than we paid for.
My truck is assessed more than what I bought it for 5 years ago.
You're going to sell?
No.
Right.
The house, maybe. This is the opportunity to have that conversation live in front of everyone.
You heard it. You heard it here. You heard it here, Scott. You heard it here.
Is assessed for more than you bought it for 5 years ago?
My truck.
When you pull NADA book on it, that I would.
But here's
so is my Explorer.
You need to contest it before this increase.
But that's the problem. When we brought this up on Real Talk, the window is so effing narrow. It's only 30 days from the time you get this, and you have to go ahead, and each jurisdiction is a little bit different.
He meant to say famously, right?
Right.
Just want to make sure.
That's what he said.
That's what he said, right? Okay, got it.
Choose your words carefully, Smith. Choose your words carefully.
I'm supposed to remember what I just said?
I mean, it's getting crazy. Put it in perspective, ours is a 2020 Explorer. Mm-hmm. We sell more than we can buy it, what we bought it for.
But I could do the same thing with my Sigora. Yeah, still not enough to get my new vehicle though.
So my tax assessed on my 2017 Toyota Tacoma is $38,000. I paid less than that when I bought it.
Yeah.
2017. That's just insane. But
and that's why the Commissioner of Revenue begged Council to lower the tax rate on personal property. And he's an elected official, so we know why he was doing that, because he's the one that's going to catch the griefs.
So we promised Mrs. Smith we would get her out here at 11.
Yeah, 24 minutes ago. I was waiting for somebody to say that.
I want to celebrate my daughter's birthday at 12:15.
24 minutes ago.
Yes.
So a little bit about Friday. I'm excited about Friday. We've got Albemarle County chairperson Donna Price coming. Chairwoman, excuse me, coming in on Friday. Got a half commitment from Ned Galloway, so we're going to talk a little bit about
So that sounds like you're going to be going by car lots to do some charming and persuading.
So I may or may not have done that yesterday.
Oh, you did do that. You did a drop in.
Well,
I'm sure Ned loves that.
He does, yeah, of course. Yeah, he hides under his desk. It's really funny. No, he does. He literally does.
Does he go out the back door?
No, he hides underneath his desk. Tell him I'm not here.
My favorite was when you spoke in front of the Board of Supervisors, and Neil Williamson tweeted, and he tagged you in the tweet, and Neil's watching. He goes, the distinguished gentleman Keith Smith is about to speak in front of the Board of Supervisors. One of the chair people said.
No. This was Donna Price.
What Donna Price said? Your time is limited. What did they say to you?
No. So
because they know Keith likes to talk.
Well, first of all, in fairness to me, I had no idea I was doing that. I got called on the spot.
You're a good man. I know you did.
So I would go ahead and do this. And Donna looked at me, looked at the watch, and said that basically in 15 minutes we're moving on to the next topic, and you do this in under 15 minutes. And I said, yes, Donna, I got this. I can do it.
Did you laugh?
I laughed. Everybody laughed.
And then you checked out Neil's socks?
I checked out Neil's socks. He won. He had dumpster fire socks on. I had Captain Obvious socks on, so he won that. And we're looking forward to seeing him this evening, right?
Wednesday.
The point of importance.
It is.
So, Mrs. Smith, we promised to get you out here. I think we're going to wrap up.
I need to go, gentlemen, yes.
We're going to wrap up.
I have my four-legged real estate hunter in the car, and I want to make sure that our car is still there.
How about, that's a good call. That's very good. How about a closing thought, everybody, for the viewers and listeners? Ladies first.
Just stick with the path that you're on. Enjoy the day and stress less. And happy birthday, Yazzie.
There we go.
There you go.
Nicely done, Yonna. How about you, Senor Morris?
I'll start with happy birthday, Yaz. And as Yonna described them, her hardened warriors. Mm-hmm. If you're out there and you are shopping and this was not your weekend, or you've had two in a row, just keep going.
Keep on going.
Ebbs and flows in inventory, and just because you thought something was the one does not make it the one. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of times where you'll go under contract with the house that's the one, and you'll find things throughout the process that are going to make it not be it. So continue looking. You're going to find what you're looking for. You're going to get under contract, and if you choose, if you go above where you thought your comfort level was 3 years ago, you're not going to remember that. You're going to be living in the house, and it's the things that you make out of your life are what are really going to matter, not what it took to create a real estate transaction. Just keep going.
Amen. And it's probably we use the word get in the game, but maybe that's not the right choice of words to go ahead and do, because this is not a game. This is real life. This is people's lives that we're talking about. But, there's a team that's sitting at this table that can help you through that. And if it takes 1 month or 6 months or 2 years, this team is part of that process, and we will be there. And we've been doing it for 3.5 decades, and we will keep on doing it for 3.5 decades. Shout out to Yasmo. Love you, baby. Yonna, I know. Thank you for doing this. This is not your most favorite.
You always do great, though.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Tell her that, will you?
You always do great.
She doesn't think she does, but she does wonderful.
No, I sincerely mean that. Shout out to Judah. He's our North Star behind the camera. Our furry friend Liza, who occasionally you may hear shaking in her dog bed, which is on Judah's desk in the office. Keith Smith, A+ people. Scott Morris, A++ people, and Yonna Smith, A++ people.
Thank you, guys.
This is the Wednesday edition of Real Talk, presented by Ross Mortgage. I Love CVille. Show up in 1 hour. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Always do great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Raises the
Thank you, Scott.
beauty.
You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.